everybody. Friday, October 6th. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, coming to you live from beautiful Washington, D.C. Weh. A long week. Let's get TikTok rolling on my iPad. I think this is all correct. Yes. And introduce yourselves, where you're from, the usual, while we wait a minute for folks to arrive. Oop, there we go. Mirror. Boom. Okay, TikTok is good. Oh, hey, y'all. How are we doing today? Happy Friday. Remember, tomorrow we've got our coffee talk. So don't forget that for the monthly paid subscribers. So join us on TikTok and Discord. We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, what's going on? New Jersey Oblast. That's funny. Although actually it would probably be more like California or San Francisco Oblast might be more appropriate. But yeah, no, the weather has been gorgeous here. I think it's finally getting cooler tomorrow, I think. Hey, Michael. I think it's finally cooler here tomorrow. We had a gorgeous week. Yeah, 60s. And then actually, no, then in a week it goes up to 77 and 79 again. The weather has been so freaking weird. I mean, I'm glad, but it's so freaking weird. Hey, Mark Starr, thank you for the gift. And Elizabeth and Arifa, thank you guys. All the TikTok gifts already pouring in. Thank you. Ocean Lover. So many of you. Thank you guys. So yes, how are we? Hey, John S. Yeah, like I said, pretty good week. Thank you, Big Hawk. Not too much going on. My Bonnie. I was wondering, thank you for getting the cauldron. I was wondering what that was like. TikTok has a new gift, like a new Halloween gift. That's a cauldron. Thank you, Mark. And it is cool. Thanks, Bonnie. I was just curious. Hey, Tom Wyatt. Kevin, thank you. Yeah. And other than that, hey, Shane, thanks for that. I've got, we'll wait another minute maybe for folks to arrive. Once I go live, it sort of sends the notification out to TikTok and YouTube and everything. So I'd like to sort of give it a minute for folks to actually get here before we jump in. Hey, y'all from Nebraska. Hey, Bonnie, thank you again. What else we got going on? Ooh, Soren, thank you for the cauldron. Trying to think what else. Nothing else. My Arifa dinosaur. Ooh, I love the dinos. Thank you. I've got my new washer and dryer coming in on Tuesday. Finally, thank God. My 17-year-old washer dryer finally broke a couple of weeks ago, so I had to buy a new one. Went to Costco. Do love Costco. They were very good. So Waterford, Ireland. Very popular, you folks, with Mom and the Crystal. Although I think it's now been like exported out to Czech Republic or something. Hey, Joe, thanks for that. But Mom's got the original Waterford from Waterford. Actually, I've got some of Mom's Waterford from This is Waterford, Crystal. He's from Waterford, Ireland. I was saying this is Mom's Waterford from actually it's Ireland, right? Yeah, it's not the UK. Yeah, Waterford. This is Mom's Waterford she gave me, which I really like. It's very pretty. I mean, some of her old stuff that what's she going to do with it? But I do think it's very pretty, and it makes a pretty little table holder kind of thing. So very nice. All right, guys, let's get rolling. So welcome. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report. This is my nightly show I do Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Oh, nice, Jeremy. 6 p.m. Adjusting my TikTok a little here. There we go. 6 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S., where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Thank you. Is that Elizabeth, I think? Oh, Lamb Chop and Elizabeth. Thanks, guys. The way the show works is, thank you, Cammie and Linka. I will go through the news for the first half of the show, and then the second half of the show, I'll take your guys' questions. But if anybody has a super chat question on YouTube, because they pay for those, I will. Oh, I didn't put the list up, did I? Because you guys pay for those, I will put those up immediately. Those questions I'll respond to immediately. Thank you for the reminder there, Reese. And what else? Oh, yeah. And then the super chat questions, or I should say YouTube gifts. YouTube gifts are the other thing that I will call out on because I always appreciate the YouTube. Thank you, Just Carla. Always the gifts on YouTube. So I will always try to do a shout out when I see the gifts that pop up on the screen, right? And just a reminder, folks, I do this for free and I do it full time since the war broke out. So your gifts actually make it possible for me to do the show. So please do keep the gifts coming. I appreciate it. Susan, Putin has invited you to dinner and you can sit by the window. Exactly. Yeah. I would never in a million years. Thank you, life. I don't think I'm ever going back to Russia again either until that country has a revolution. I mean, I've been there a few times, but not that I I might go the Russian Far East. I might have enjoyed going back to Russia, like Moscow and St. Petersburg. Anyway, guys, all right, let's get rolling here. So today is, hey, Kevin from the Philippines. Oh, nice to see you. We don't get a lot of Asians here, I think. Thank you, Marcy. It's probably the the time I do this or something, but thank you for joining us, Kevin. So today's show, today's day 589 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation. We have a coffee talk tomorrow morning. Remember this, folks? Oh, hey, Ukrainochka. Good to see you again. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time US, I do a special show for the paid monthly subscribers as a thank you. That will be, like I said, 11 a.m. Eastern Time US. And I will do it on TikTok for the paid monthly TikTok subscribers. You're all the ones that have SNN next to your name, and Ash and some of the others can tell you guys how to sign up if you'd like to. For you guys on YouTube, etc., YouTube, you can sign up on YouTube. Again, those of you with the green names, Dark Irish, Carlos, Michael, some of the others. Thank you, Joe. You guys can sign up on YouTube. At the bottom, you should be by the comment box, a little $sign. I think you click it, and one of the options says memberships. The rest of you can go to Ko-fi. You can do it on Discord, and you can do it on Twitch as well. So you subscribe monthly on any of those services. Ko-fi is ko-fi.com/Aravosis, any of them. And you can join us either on TikTok for the TikTok subscribers in the morning, or simultaneously, I will be on Discord. So join us, either one, guys, please do. So 4 people remain missing. Thank you, Ellie. And including 2 children following a Russian strike yesterday that killed at least 52 people. The latest number from a Ukrainian member of parliament says it's 55 people that were killed when the Russians attacked the village of Hroza, just east of Kharkiv. Just quick show you on the map. Kharkiv, Ukraine, up here. It's Kharkiv's Ukraine's second largest city. I believe it's 1.5 million people. And the town that was attacked, more or less around here. So it's still a good maybe 30 miles from the Russian border. I mean, not far at all, really, 40, 50 kilometers away from the Russian border. The Russians attacked a cafe that was having a wake, a funeral and a wake for a military member. Today, the Ukrainians were saying that they suspect somebody in the area who was a Russian sympathizer found out about the wake and told the Russians about it. And because it was a wake for a military member, basically a commemoration of the military member's death, the Russians figured maybe there'd be military people there. So they bombed the cafe and they used a huge missile. The kind of missile they used, I believe folks said it was an anti-ship missile. So it was the kind of a huge missile that you would use to cause massive damage, blew up the cafe, killed between 52 and 55 people. Some estimates are that 1 in 3 members of that, because it's a small town, that 1 in 3 members of that town were killed by the Russians yesterday, that they literally wiped out a third of the town. I mean, just horrific what happened. Another attack last night the Russians did in Kharkiv itself. Kharkiv, same region, the big town I was telling you, the second largest city. The Russians, of course, attacked 2 residential buildings. Again, I've told you guys this. The Russians go after civilians. And again, U.S. doesn't do it. And I love how all the trolls go crazy when I say this. U.S. doesn't do it. France doesn't do it. Germany, the UK, Canada. No developed country, no civilized country orders its troops to kill civilians on a daily basis. Only the Russians, if you consider them a developed civilized country, that's debatable, right? But only the Russians do this. Other countries have occasional war crimes, right? U.S. had 2 famous ones in Iraq. Killing attacking a wedding, I believe, and the other one I would say was Abu Ghraib. The horrible thing at the prison when the U.S. troops were posing with the Al Qaeda guys who were dead and naked and all sorts. I mean, horrific stuff. Well, guess what? I'm calling it horrific. I dare you to find a Russian commentator who calls what Russia did in Bucha horrific. You're not going to find it. Thank you, Nicola. And even more so, the Americans did not give medals to the people who committed the war crimes in our name. The Russians gave them medals when they committed the war crimes in Bucha. I mean, it is literally every day. If I had the time, I mean, I've got a list. I did a TikTok video, 9 minutes long, of Russian war crimes. 9 minutes long, Russian war crimes in Ukraine alone, and that was only like some of them. So in any case, it's horrific. So Russia attacked 2 residential buildings in Kharkiv, killing a 10-year-old boy and his 68-year-old grandmother and injuring at least 30 others. Russia also launched a massive drone attack overnight, hitting port infrastructure along the Danube River. The Danube, you'll recall, is all the way down here. It is the river that borders Ukraine, right? The yellow is Ukraine. to Romania. Romania is over here, okay? And it's the river that borders both. There's a lot of Ukrainian ports here that the Ukrainians have been using to export grain. And the Russians, because again, the Russians target civilians. The Russians have been trying to blow up Ukraine's grain abilities, which again is a war crime. You're not allowed to do that because it's civilian infrastructure. But they've been trying to blow up Ukraine's grain, the grain silos, the warehouses storing the grain, the equipment used to move the grain to the ships, the docks that the grains, the ports that that these ships come to. The Russians have been blowing them up, in part to stop Ukraine from getting money, but also in part to cause famine in North Africa and famine in the Middle East. And the idea is if the Russians can cause famine in the Middle East and Africa, they can force a lot of the refugees to leave because they're starving and go to Europe. And if they force them to go to Europe, it'll cause political turmoil. I mean, this is how Putin thinks. Again, anything you dare accuse the West of, NATO of, Asia, any of the developed democracies in Asia, you will not find anything in modern memory to compare to the Russians intentionally trying to cause a famine in Africa and the Middle East. Thank you, Elizabeth. In order to force those people to starve, take their families, and literally get on a boat and risk their lives to get to Europe. Only the Russians do this. Now, not only the Russians, but among the civilized world, it's only the Russians. I mean, really. In any case, I digress. North Korea today, there was a report today from CBS News in America that North Korea has been transferring artillery to Russia. The only thing is, what we don't know, the article did make clear that the article said that it is not clear if these are new shipments, if this is part of an old weapons package already agreed to. In other words, whether these are new shipments agreed to at the summit that Putin held with Kim, the North Korean dictator, last month, or whether this is sort of a continuation of aid. Nonetheless, it's definitive proof that the North Koreans have been sending artillery to Russia. Sweden is going to send a new military aid package worth 2 billion Swedish kroner, $200 million to Ukraine. But, and this was interesting, they said that a mandatory condition of sending, they're sending the 200 million. And then they said that they are considering sending their Gripen fighter jets, right? The fighter jets, the Swedes, homemade fighter jets, meaning made in Sweden fighter jets to Ukraine. But a mandatory condition of Sweden sending its fighter jets to Ukraine is that Sweden becomes a member of NATO, which I thought was very interesting. I think it's fair of the Swedes, but the Swedes basically are saying they've kind of had enough of the games Turkey and Hungary are playing, and it's time for them to admit us. And they're trying to put a little pressure on the rest of NATO to say, you know what, get on the ball and do this. You've got to keep in mind here, Sweden stuck its neck out by joining NATO, by offering to join NATO, right? And the fact that NATO's dragging out its feet, and it's been over a year, a year and 4 months now, you're putting Sweden in danger here. I mean, Sweden basically had to get, private commitments from the UK and the US that we're going to come help them, but they're not NATO members. I mean, guess what? America has an election in a year. Donald Trump wins. You can kiss that promise goodbye. Frankly, even if Sweden's a member of NATO, if Donald Trump wins, you can kiss the promise goodbye of NATO, NATO coming to their aid. But especially if Donald Trump wins. Thank you, being Jenny. So not being a member of NATO, incredibly dangerous for Sweden. So anyway, I don't fault them for doing this. Just a reminder, because folks always ask where things stand with Sweden joining NATO. In order for you to join NATO, all 31 NATO countries must agree. Because if you join NATO, the other countries are basically promising to go to war to protect you. So, of course, if you add a new member, each of them should have to agree, right? Thank you, Big John, and being Jenny as well for the gifts there on TikTok. So Hungary still hasn't approved Sweden joining, and Turkey still hasn't approved. Turkey supposedly was going to vote on it this month. But then the wannabe dictator or Erdogan, who runs Turkey, thank you, Velika, Erdogan, who runs Turkey, I was going to say Orban, similar but different. He's the Hungary wannabe dictator. Orban came out and said, yes, we will be supporting Sweden joining NATO as soon as we get the F-16s from America. So now you've got this kind of weird drama playing out of, do we like what's going to happen with the F-16 transfer? Because if I were America, after all the games Erdogan has played, there's no way I would let those F-16s step foot in Turkey until Turkey lets Sweden in. Because if we give him the F-16s, he's going to come up with another reason to delay and another thing he wants to milk us for. Thank you, Vesdi. So it's kind of a mess where this stands right now. And frankly, it's Hungary and Turkey that are doing it, and somebody should make them pay a really serious price for it as far as I'm concerned. Let me get a quick sip of water. There we go. And I will return to the news in a second just to do a quick pitch for, once again, just to remind folks, please do keep the gifts coming. I do this for free. And the way I'm able to do this for free is because of your guys' gifts. I don't have to go out and do other work. I can spend all my time working on Ukraine, doing the news during the day, doing the new shows tonight. Thank you, no one. No one, that's funny. No one is the name. Thank you, no one, for the hat and mustache. Because I rely on your guys' gifts, your memberships, the auctions we do on Discord to basically pay my bills. So please do keep the gifts coming on TikTok and YouTube. I appreciate it. And as I said, we're doing a coffee talk tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, US, for the paid monthly members on Discord, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and everybody who's a monthly subscriber. That would be all the SNN folks on TikTok. You see Callum and Vicky, some of the other Carla, some of the other ones here, Poppy. And it would be all the green names on YouTube, Dark Irish and Carlos and Laka and who is it? Anyway, all the rest of you there. Thank you for the hearts there, Eva. Good to see you. And Ko-fi and Twitch as well. And remember, guys, Ko-fi is another service you can sign up for. It's just like Patreon. And you can sign up with Ko-fi. You guys have the link at the bottom there on the screen. For you guys, click the link in my profile, and it'll take you to a page with all of my links. Excuse me. You can sign up on Ko-fi. You can even give a one-time donation with PayPal or Cash App or Venmo or anything. Anyway, appreciate it if you can help me. I appreciate it. All right. Reuters. This was kind of a obnoxious story, I thought. Thank you, Pedro. I mean, not Reuters' fault, but just obnoxious. Hang on. So diplomats say that Russia wants to get back to the United Nations Human Rights Council. It was kicked off over the Ukraine invasion. It wants back in. Well, Russia wants back in because it wants to be able to stop the UN from going after them on human rights, right? So Russia wants back in. And according to Reuters, diplomats at the UN are considering now letting Russia back in because of Ukraine fatigue. Listen to this. There's a sense, particularly among African and Asian countries, of a growing fatigue of the war in Ukraine. Isn't it sad? Those poor Africans and Asians, it's just really exhausting for them to care. They've just cared so much. Now, mind you, who's the one who's been helping the most? Us. I mean, it's been America and Europe. America, Canada, Europe, Australia. We've been the ones who have been helping the most. Australia could do more, but Australia's been helping too. But the Africans joke in terms of their position on Ukraine. So many of the African countries have been supporting the colonizer. They've been supporting the imperialist because they think it's in their financial interest. And frankly, Putin probably bribed them. Thank you, adventurers. I am convinced Putin bribed them. Asia, who the hell knows what's up with them? South Korea has been helpful. Japan has helped. I mean, none of these have done a ton. They're not exactly at the top of the list, but those two have at least been helpful. But for African and Asian diplomats who have been the least involved in helping Ukraine to say they're just fatigued with it all, can't we just move on? Thank you, Camacho. What really pisses me off, the Africans especially, you look at the years of colonization, and now you see a colonizer, and Russia's been a colonizer for hundreds of years, but a colonizer doing it again, and the Africans say, after a year, I think we should just move on. So does that mean that if somebody colonizes Africa after a year, we should just move on and stop worrying about it? I guess so. No, it really sickens me. I find that kind of hypocrisy to be just really the worst. South Africa, they're horrific on this stuff. And again, South Africa, recent experience of breaking free from colonizers, and South Africa is now the biggest, bootlicker possible when it comes to, the white man in Moscow. It's just like, ugh. Anyway, Moldova's president. This is an interesting article in the Financial Times. Thank you. Who's that? Le Balancier. Thank you for the gift there, and Jerry as well. The Financial Times. Moldova's president is claiming that the Vagner group basically tried to overthrow their government in a coup. Let me just read you a couple paragraphs from the story here. It's very interesting. Moldova's president has claimed Russia's Vagner paramilitaries were behind a thwarted coup attempt that aimed to depose her as head of state as part of a campaign to destabilize the country. In an interview with the Financial Times, Maya Sandu said Wagner's late leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, had planned the coup earlier this year and warned that Moscow was using various methods, including cash mules and bank cards issued in Dubai, to smuggle money into Moldova to bribe voters ahead of a string of elections. Quote, the information that we have is that it was a plan prepared by Prigozhin's team, she said, adding they wanted to encourage anti-government protests to turn violent. Russia has sought to put pressure on Moldova, a former Soviet republic with strong ties to Moscow, since Sandu's presidency began in 2020, as the Kremlin bristled over her strong pro-Western views and desire to take the country into the European Union. New U.S. aid package of $200 million that's going to be released next week. We don't know what's in it. What I did find today, which was interesting, apparently, okay, remember how the U.S. had the accounting error? I mean, I assume it's true, but it's still kind of funny. But that basically we had overvalued the aid we gave Ukraine. And again, governments in our government, the Congress says you can give, $20 billion or however much it is. Okay. However much it is. And the government then can spend 20 billion. And when they run out of the 20 billion, they've given Ukraine 20 billion. They've got to then go back and get more money from Congress. Well, the Biden administration says that something like 6 billion of the money they gave or whatever it was, they overestimated the value. Thank you, Lori. So in other words, maybe they gave Ukraine 6 billion. And then later they said, you know what, that only was 2. We thought it was 6. It really was 2. So now we've got another 4 billion we can play with that was authorized by the Congress said we could spend. Basically, it's like Congress giving you $10 and you think you've spent $10 and you later look and go, oh, I only spent $6. I didn't spend 10. That's what happened. So they've got $4 left. In this case, it's not $4, it's $6 billion, but what the hell? So the actual amount is $5.4 billion of money that's still available, which is actually good. And they're going to give Ukraine $200 million next week. Final story, the Netherlands has announced a new $100 million aid package to support Ukraine as well. So that is good. I will, as always, show you a few of the auction items, and then let's do questions. So hang on here. There wasn't a ton of news today, really. So one of the things we do with auctions, which is kind of fun, is I get cool stuff from Ukraine, and then we auction it off over on our Discord community, discord.aravosis.com. And I take the proceeds from the auctions, and 50%. Oh, thank you, Carl, for the sticker. I saw it earlier and I forgot to mention. Thank you for the super sticker. Half the money from the auctions I send back to Ukraine, and we use it for humanitarian aid, help for the military, making camouflage nets for the military, things like this. Half of the money goes to support my work because I do this full time and I'm not getting money from anywhere else. So I use the money to pay my bills so I actually can do the show here, guys. And thank you, M. Fuller. This week, for example, I sent over $600 to Vlad just for this week's auction, the auction that finished on Wednesday, of your guys' winning bids, actually. $600 to Vlad that he's now spending on our aid over there in Ukraine. Now, a couple of things just to show you. We've got this week. Actually, this one's kind of cool. It's a Ukrainian military patch that says, Slava Ukraini and Heroam Slava, which is the Ukrainian kind of national slogan. Slava Ukraini is was it glory to Ukraine, and then Heroam Slava is glory to the heroes. And the first is what you say. So Slava Ukraini, it's like saying God bless America or something. And Heroam Slava is the response, is what you're supposed to say in response. But it's a really nice patch. It's kind of big, which I like. And it's meant for any of the military shirts that have Velcro. Or if you have any of those displays on what do you call the fabric? Like felt or whatever displays, it sticks to the felt displays you have in frames and things that are very cool. This I love. This is a refrigerator magnet that Sam got in Ukraine, but I love it because it's the kitschiest thing you'll ever see. I've still got it in the plastic, but on the top it says Ukraina, the bottom says Ukraine, and it's a map of Ukraine. But I think, like I said, I think it's kitschy. It's fun. I like it. It's funny. And you can see, I mean, look, it's big. I mean, like it's a nice sized magnet, but again, I love stuff that's kind of over the top, basically. And I think it's over the top. A few more things. This is very cool. No one has bid on this yet, by the way. This is really cool. Sam got this when Sam is one of our U.S. military guys who has been volunteering in Ukraine, former U.S. military volunteering in Ukraine. And when he was there, he got this. This is a piece of a Russian howitzer. And he was able to get the piece. He got it off of the Russian howitzer itself, so he knows where it came from. And he wrote up this nice certificate and framed it, which shows I will say, generic photo of the howitzer. This is the picture of the very howitzer in the wild where it was destroyed. And this is the picture of the very howitzer in Kyiv, in the capital, in the main square, where the Ukrainians have been putting up Russian tanks and Russian equipment that was destroyed in the war, sort of on display for people to see. This is there. This is where he got the piece. He asked the troops there. They said, it was funny. He asked permission and they said, yeah, you can take a piece. So he took a piece of it from there. They said yes. And we're auctioning this off. And like I said, it's a really nice plaque he did, sort of explaining the history. It was destroyed around April 2nd near Hostomel, the airport north of Ukraine. The Hostomel airport battle, hugely pivotal battle, by the way, in Ukrainian history now. Had the Russians won, had the Russians won that battle, the Russians might have won the war. So anyway, this is very cool. Two more things. Very cool. I love this, but this is the stuff I personally love. Thank you, Kathy, for the super sticker. Oops, sorry. There was somebody else too, I think. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, yeah, Carl and Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. This is really cool because it's a piece of a Russian fighter bomber. This is a piece of an S-34 fighter bomber. I actually have the tag on it so I don't forget. And it's shot down over Ukraine. One of the things that's neat about this one is the backbone of it is the skeleton, I think they may call it, is clearly for something that rotated, that swung back and forth on it. Very cool. This one I like because it also has a Russian serial number on it, which is very cool. So you see in Greek, it would be gamma beta. It's GB in Russian. I don't know how you pronounce, what you call the letters, but it's the G and the B. And those are the first two letters. So it'd be like a gamma beta, but those are kind of cool. And then there's another serial number there. I'll show you guys. Oops, where's my Russian serial number? There it is. That's the GB. But I think it's cool that it's got the serial number. Anyway, I love this piece. It's very cool. It's a good size. It's been bent to hell because of the crash getting blown up, but it's a really neat piece of the history there. Anyway, it's for auction too. And then finally, I have the last of, we've been auctioning these for about 1.5 years now. Thank you, Ernie. I have the last Zelensky sweatshirts. These are the sweatshirts that President Zelensky wears. The same, I mean, obviously he didn't wear these, but we got them from the same company he gets them from. And they're really pretty. They're 100% cotton. Beautiful, like warm, cozy sweatshirts. The Ukrainian trident in the middle. It's what do you call it? Embroidered, the trident, so it's not like glued on or anything. But they're really cool sweatshirts. We only have, I think, medium, extra large, and extra extra large. I've got it in the auction itself. What size we have, but that's all we've got. So do check that out too. Those are very popular because they're very cool. And I've got pictures of Zelensky wearing them. He wore it to the U.S. Congress when he gave his speech to the joint session of Congress. He got it. He also wore it when he spoke to the British Parliament. Remember, that was maybe, I don't remember, it was 6 months ago now. So very cool, just very cool. Anyway, all right. Anyway, Matisse, I don't know. What were you asking? I can't reply to everybody because there's too many questions. I reply to as many as I can. The reason some comments disappear is because we have a lot of bad people who come who don't like that we support Ukraine, and they try to come and obstruct the conversation. So that is why you will see some comments disappear. Vlad did send bracelets. Yes, Susan asked if Vlad sent bracelets. Anyway, yeah, so the auctions are over at discord.aravosis.com. You'll see the public auctions, which are the ones for everybody, and you will see the VIP auctions, which are only for the monthly subscribers, the monthly paid members, because I wanted to give them something as a gift to thank them for the monthly subscriptions. Again, not TikTok, because TikTok is evil. No, TikTok isn't really evil. I'm kidding. But TikTok is broken. Its connection with Discord is broken. They've been trying to fix it. They've not fixed it. It's been months, and I don't know what they're doing, but it means the TikTok connection we can't get working on Discord because of TikTok's fault. So only the Ko-fi, YouTube, Twitch, and Discord monthly subscribers will be able to bid in the VIP auctions. Sorry, guys. All right. Did Vlad ever send the yellow and blue bracelets? Vlad did. I don't think the bracelets he got were the actual ones that the charity uses. But he did send some really neat blue and yellow woven bracelets. I'll have to put another one up for maybe it's Friday. I think I could probably put another one up this week. And, we've got, I'm trying to put sort of more auction items up now too, by the way, as we get closer to Christmas, because even though it's only October, you might as well start getting Christmas gifts now. So, and I do think a lot of the stuff we've got are really cool, unique Christmas gifts, either for somebody who's into war stuff, which I'm into military stuff. A lot of our stuff is very cool, but also, if you're just into the Ukraine thing or whatever, like I said, the little woven bracelets are really pretty, things like that. Thank you, Marcy. Actually, I was just going to say, I'm not showing you everything today, but one of the other cool things we've got is, for example, I've also got a nice little woven, or not woven, but like, the leather bracelets. This is with the Ukrainian trident on it, but very pretty. And you can see, I think this would be nice on a man or a woman, really, or, a young kid, a young guy or a young gal would be kind of pretty. So we've got stuff like this too. Again, I think they're nice stocking stuffers. Well, speaking of stocking stuffers, we've got Ukrainian stockings. A pair of Ukrainian socks that have all the top Ukrainian cities on it. Kyiv, Mariupol, Kharkiv, Bucha, Mykolaiv. Anyway, so lots of fun stuff. Like I said, we've got Christmas ornament / fridge magnet. Anyway, you get the point. All right, guys, what else we got? Those are for Callum? Okay. What else we got? Thank you, Conqueranga. So what do you got for questions, guys? Magical says, do you think there will be a retaliation or response to the 52 people being killed at the wake? I mean, the problem is, Russia and Ukraine both, neither of them has the ability, I think, to retaliate more, right? I mean, in principle, they should be doing everything they can to beat the other party already. So I don't think Ukraine has the capacity to do more. And I would say Ukraine shouldn't be, Russia does this and they're stupid about it, but Ukraine shouldn't be attacking Russia as retaliation for Russia attacking civilians in Kharkiv area, right? That's stupid. Ukraine should only be hitting Russia in the where it counts, right? They should be hitting Russia where they want to hit Russia, where they think it will cause the most damage and will force Russia to stop fighting them, right? They shouldn't hit because, this will make them upset or whatever, right? So I think they shouldn't take the bait as far as that goes. And Russia, if Russia has the ability to do more and they're not doing it, then it's criminal as far as the way Putin's executing the war. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Moral high ground. Look, the moral high ground, I'm there. I think it's kind of 50-50, meaning this is one of the things the West has to worry about. If Ukraine starts to really lose this war, and again, because we supported them, but we always tied one hand behind their back, like we're still doing. We're doing it with the F-16s, forget it. It'll be a cold day in hell when Ukraine gets F-16s from us. But the American tanks are taking forever. I saw Cliff's question. I forgot what I was even saying. Sorry, Cliff. Cliff says, I know I asked this before, but couldn't Biden tell, say, Spain or Greece, hey, give Ukraine so many artillery, ammo, etc., and send us the list. We'll replace it after November. Yes. The question is if he can. Congress still has to approve of the weapon sales. So, you know what I mean? Would they approve? Would the MAGA Republicans, who are the big problem right now, get upset that Biden tried to go around them? I don't know. Now, I will say one thing that did happen today. Thank you, Timothy. Biden told, okay, help me out here. It was in the news today. It was Germany, I believe. Thank you, Tom, for the monkey. It was Germany, I believe. And Biden told them, go if you go ahead and give Ukraine blah, 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 that you've got, Patriot missiles, Patriot missile batteries. I believe the Biden administration, told Germany, if you want to give Ukraine more Patriot missile batteries, go ahead, because we will give you the Israeli Iron Dome instead, right? So you do have something like that that's a possibility, right? that the U.S. is able to basically get better weapon systems to our allies, and our allies then are able to give their old systems that are still very good. Poland, was it Poland? Ali is saying Poland. I didn't remember who. Are you sure it was Poland? I thought it was Germany. Unless you're sure, but I thought it was Germany. Either way, it's a good idea. And it looks like the Biden administration is starting to do it, which again is, a good idea. Poland. Okay. All right. So that's good. Okay. No, Ukraine. I'm not just saying Germany. I'm telling you, I think it's Germany. Hold on a second. I'm looking right here. Right. It's not here, which makes me think, I think it's Germany. Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm going to go. I think I saw it on Sky News. Let me see. I'm not going to see it. Ugh. The problem is I do read too many news sources. Iron Dome, Patriot. Let me look here. No, Germany's giving a Patriot. We know that. No, I'm not going to find it now. I'm not going to find the story. Yeah. Let's see. But like I said, a lot of people here are saying Germany too. I remember it being Germany. Now Germany did in fact give a Patriot missile system to Ukraine. We know that. We do know that. So yeah, so Cliff, that's apparently, we think Biden's already doing that. We hope they are, but we don't know, but it's a good idea. Rob Wall says you guys froze. Did you guys freeze? Do I need to refresh no, not on TikTok, on YouTube, etc. I'll write a message here to see. Right, send it. I know you guys are okay on TikTok. I'm just sending a quick little message over to the YouTubers to make sure it didn't freeze, because I opened another screen and sometimes it can mess stuff up. Okay, it's all good. Gunther says, okay, good. Germany will transfer IRIS systems soon too. That's good. Nah. Chris, I have not heard anything about Ukraine moving troops with civilian cars. Now, first of all, it's entirely possible they're moving troops with civilian cars. Why not? But I saw nothing reported, which makes me suspicious of it. This is Matisse asks a very good question. Should crimes against humanity be punished at a world stage? This is the problem. Okay. Now, first of all, there are war crimes and crimes against humanity. As I recall, the difference is a war crime, of course, is a violation of the rules of war, right? And a war crime could be intentionally executing a civilian, right, for no reason, or for whatever reason, but not for a good reason. A crime against humanity is an order coming. I believe, if I've got this right, I believe a crime against humanity is when it is widespread, meaning an order comes from on above saying, we are going to kill Ukrainian civilians, right? That is one of our goals in this war. Make sure you kill civilians and you bomb civilians every day, which Russia is doing. That could be a crime against humanity, I believe, versus each individual act could be a war crime. But it's a crime against humanity, I believe, when it becomes systematic. I'm pretty sure. In any case, I would argue whether we're talking war crimes or crimes against humanity, you've got a real problem with Russia and Ukraine, because what they have been doing is so awful. So awful that how do we end this war? Thank you, Martin. Sorry, my nose is itching as always. How do we end this war with a negotiated settlement? Right? How do you end? Even if Ukraine, thank you, Chazak, for the leaves. Even if you wanted to pretend that Ukraine was okay giving up some of its land, okay? Let's pretend that Ukraine's okay giving up some of its land for peace, and the Russians are okay with that too. How do you just overlook the fact that Russia has been committing war crimes and genocide for the last year and a half, right? They kidnapped tens of thousands of Ukrainian children. How do you not hold them accountable for that? This is the problem we've got with what Russia's been doing. Like I said, in the targeting of civilians every day for over a year and a half, the Russians have been intentionally targeting civilians. No one does that. No one does. No one does that. You'd have to go back a very long time to find that for any of our countries. The Russians are doing it every day. How do you just ignore that? How do you not hold them accountable? And the reason, it isn't just a moral reason holding them accountable, but the lesson you're sending to the rest of the world is go ahead. Here's the lesson you're sending to the rest of the world. Go ahead and do the worst you can. If it helps you win the war, go ahead. Kill civilians, right? Kill babies, steal children, do whatever. This is the lesson we're giving them. steal the kids and kidnap them and everything else. And because in the end, if it helps you win, we're going to reach a negotiation with you anyway, right? Right? Now, notice we already have somebody pulling the bogus argument I always talk about. For the US, you've got to go back 60 years to find any example in Vietnam, right? And that's the whole point. Like, it's 2023. People don't do this kind of stuff anymore. It doesn't happen. It happens in Russia. And if they're not held accountable, you're sending the message to the rest of the world that the best way to do this didn't happen in Iraq either. You didn't have America on a daily basis. You did not. I was going to ask a question. I'm not going to ask this a question. You did not on a daily basis have the American president order his troops to kill as many Iraqi civilians as possible every single day. That the American president never ordered once his troops to kill people. The generals never once ordered their troops to kill civilians, to target civilians. Never. You had occasional American troops committing war crimes, occasional individual American troops, and they were held accountable. Abu Ghraib was a scandal in America when Abu Ghraib happened. A scandal. We did not give them weapons. Not weapons, I mean medals. The Russians gave the guys who did Bucha, the guys who killed all the civilians in Bucha, Ukraine, they gave them medals. Medals they gave them. We didn't give them medals, right? It was a scandal. It was all over the news in this country, Abu Ghraib. All over the news. It was a scandal what happened at Abu Ghraib. In Russia, is there any scandal of what they did in Bucha? Not even Bucha. Last night in Kharkiv, killing the little kid. The day before, killing 52 or maybe 55 people, right? No, they don't. I mean, they're not responsible for anything. They're responsible for anything. You know, absolutely nothing. Now, and again, the problem is, and this is the problem, I think, the America haters out there who, and again, they're America haters and Russia lovers because it's the same thing. I mean, you're defending Russia. You're bringing this argument up because you're trying to excuse Russia. Okay, that's the thing too. You know, when you say America didn't do it, we just didn't. But when you say America did it, we're talking about what Russia's doing and should they be held accountable, and you're trying to give an excuse for why they shouldn't be. You know. Or you're just lying. I mean, like, I'm sorry, Stephen on Facebook, but you're just lying there. The US president did not order his troops to kill Iraqi civilians, and he certainly didn't do it every day. And that is what is happening in Russia. That is what is happening in Russia. They have been ordered to kill civilians. And by the way, do your research on Russia? Seriously, because if you consult any defense expert about Russia, they will tell you it is Russian policy to kill civilians. It is their policy. It is not our policy to kill civilians. Sometimes there are war criminals and they're held accountable. But it is not our policy to kill civilians. It is Russia's policy every day to kill as many civilians as you can. Period. So I'm sorry, but that's BS. But again, you're bringing it up because you're trying to excuse genocide. You really need to think about that, right? Why do you get so upset when people point out that Russia's committing genocide? Why does it bother you where you got to jump in and defend them? You know? 6Evo, you mentioned that Putin responded to a question disregarding the use of a nuclear test. Why has there been talks about Russia backing out of the nuclear test? I mean, Russia's been they're talking about it again today. Russia's talking about backing. I'm not even sort of up on the treaties here, guys, to be honest, but thank you, Suzanne. But Russia's sort of talking about leaving the treaty or whatever it is, that whether it's the comprehensive test ban treaty or whatever it is, but sort of pulling out of the treaty. But then they said today, even if we pull out of the treaty, Julian Assange, please. Julian Assange is a freaking war criminal. Julian Assange. What are you going to get? Mumia Jamal next? Julian Assange. Julian Assange should be in prison for the rest of his life. By the way, quick little fact here. Julian Assange got Donald Trump elected. Julian Assange said it was his goal to get Donald Trump elected president. For any of you who whenever you hear people talk about Julian Assange, the horror that is Donald Trump that was imposed on America and the world, and the horror that is now coming back, one of the main reasons is Julian Assange, because he decided to take down Hillary Clinton in order to help Donald Trump. And there's even a quote from him saying it, that he was going to help Donald Trump get elected. So yeah, Julian Assange. I hope Julian spends his entire life in a cupboard like Harry Potter. Seriously, Julian Assange, indeed. So yeah, 6Evo. Russia. So what the Russians said today was that they were going to probably pull out of the nuclear treaty banning nuclear tests of their weapons, but they weren't going to necessarily do more nuclear tests. I just don't care. I really, at this point, I don't care. I mean, yes, we should all care in a general sense because it was good to have fewer nuclear tests or all this kind of stuff, right? For the planet and all of that. But in the end, as I've always said, Russia is trying to scare you. They're trying to do whatever they can to make you freak out about nukes. And part of it is, even that, frankly, we're going to pull out of the nuclear test ban, but we may not do tests. Okay? I mean, honestly, I literally, when people ask me these things, I literally say, I don't care. And I don't mean I don't care about your question, but I mean, it's very rare that I care about what Russia's doing on stuff like this because it's all performative theater. Right? They're just doing it to freak you out. And I just refuse to get freaked out. And it doesn't scare me. Yeah, it doesn't scare me in a big deal. I mean, and again, when it comes down to it, Russia wants to do some nuclear tests. Woo, scary nuclear tests. I mean, I don't want them doing it for the environment, but like doesn't change my life, doesn't make it more dangerous somehow. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, they're going to do nuclear tests and now we won't be able to retaliate with our nuclear weapons and blow them off the map if they attack us. Yes, we will. So they're not going to be able to do it. What else we got? Well, that was funny. Viking says they talked about testing a nuclear weapon in Siberia. What that was that lunatic Simonyan, who's I forget her exact job. I think she is or was the head of RT Russia Today, their big propaganda organ they use to put out information attacking the West. And she gave this bizarre soliloquy the other day talking about how, the NATO countries don't respect us. They don't fear our nukes anymore. And I think maybe we need to, and people in Siberia were not happy about this, maybe we need to explode a nuclear weapon in, say, Siberia. She's saying this on TV, mind you, in TV. Maybe we should, she's the head of like a big Russian agency, right? Maybe we should blow up a nuke in Siberia, but it'll be really high in the sky, so it won't affect anybody on the ground. They'll be okay on the ground. And again, the Siberian government people were very upset. Maybe Siberia. And we can, it'll knock, and then she goes, and it'll knock out all the electronics all around the world. Now, she's talking about an electromagnetic pulse, which basically you blow up a nuclear bomb and you send out a pulse in the area that fries all electronic devices in the area. And she says they do it high enough that they can, kill electronic devices all over the world, and it'll teach the Americans a lesson. And you're listening to this going, okay, A, you're going to nuke your own country to teach us a lesson. Oh no, not the briar patch, right? B, if you set off a nuke over Russia, it might affect American electronics. It will definitely affect Russian electronics, right? So you're going to destroy all of Russia's technology. I mean, like literally, like what do you, I mean, are you insane? Is she completely insane? No. So it was very funny. Anyway, thank you, Randy. And yes, sorry, but somebody mentioned, I do know that if you do more nuclear testing, you can refine the weapons and everything else. But honestly, if it comes down to it and Russia starts doing more nuclear testing, we'll start doing more too. We will. I mean, if they start doing more nuclear testing, we will as well. That's what I'm saying. Like, it just doesn't scare me. I mean, they're just making things worse for the world overall. But if we need to do nuclear weapons tests, we'll do them too. I'm not scared about it. It's just like, it's not like Russia's going to do it and, oh my God, the world's going to end. It's not, Thank you, Crazy American. What are the thoughts on the Black Sea Fleet being finished? I was listening to some of the experts on this. Thank you, LWD. And there was a Wall Street Journal article the other day about how Russia's Black Sea Fleet, which was headquartered in Sevastopol, which is southern Crimea territory Russia stole in 2014. Here's Sevastopol. So the Russian Black Sea Fleet, so the fleet for this area was headquartered here. Ukrainians have been blowing up a lot of ships, submarines. The fleet headquarters, like a week or two ago, destroyed the fleet headquarters, which is very good. And the Russians have basically been forced to move most of their fleet over here. There's more of Russia over here. Russia's over here and then over here to Novorossiysk, which is a port over here. Now, what I did see some of the experts saying was it may not matter. I mean, Russia's having to move its fleet, which helps to some degree to make it, thank you, Kyle, to make it a little safer for the Russian ships, or the Ukrainian ships that are trying to leave with the grain. But in the end, the Russians have enough missiles and everything else that they can still attack Ukraine nonstop, and they just do it from somewhere else. There just wasn't the sense that this was making a huge difference, having them move the fleet. But, it's going to be bad. Milo's asking, if Jim Jordan becomes Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, the purse strings to Ukraine will be cut. He's going to try. Yeah, that's what he promised. Jim Jordan is one of the two people being considered for Speaker of the House, the new top Republican in the House of Representatives. The U.S. has two houses of Congress, the Senate and the U.S. House. The Senate is the upper body, so to speak, from a European perspective. The House of Representatives is the lower body. They're both co-equal in terms of the Congress, different things they work on, but they're equal branches. And the House, the top guy in the House got thrown out a couple days ago. Some of the MAGA Republicans didn't like him. They got rid of him. And now they're kind of in chaos for the next week. Two people have got their names in to be the new top Republican, the Speaker of the House. One is Jim Jordan, this MAGA Republican Trump guy, and the other is Steve Scalise, super far right, a little bit weird as well. Let me pull this up 1 second here. Let me pull this up. Super, very Republican, but let me see. Yeah, what's kind of weird about it is let me pull up a story from The Guardian. Listen to this. Steve Scalise, the Louisiana Republican who summoned his party, reportedly want to elect a Speaker of the House, was once reported to have called himself David Duke without the baggage. David Duke, thank you for the gift there. Who was that? Megan? David Duke is the former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan here in America. Any of you from abroad who may not be familiar, the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, I'm guessing a lot of you have heard about this. They were really the lead racist group in America 100 years ago, maybe 150 years ago. I'm not sure what the exact timing was here. Joe Colella. They were the guys that wore the white hoods. But the whole white outfits and the white hoods that sort of came to a point, right? Yeah, Affleck, thank you for the gift there. Horrific. And for this guy to call himself, I'm David Duke without the baggage? What the hell does that mean? So he's got his own issues. The other guy is categorically crazy. The other guy is Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is a Donald Trump boy. He is very conservative, but that's not the problem. He's very Trumpy. He does everything for Donald Trump. He's a liar. He is more partisan than anybody in Congress, I would say. Anybody. In terms of Republicans that we know, somebody who's well known, I don't think there's anybody as partisan as Jim Jordan. Everything he does is to hurt Democrats. There's nothing. He just lies. He lies about everything. You'll notice I'm not saying the stuff about Scalise. Jordan, bad news. Very bad news. Also involved with the insurrection. But again, his biggest problem is he's Donald Trump's little boy. He will do everything for Donald Trump. Donald Trump endorsed him, wants him to be Speaker because Donald Trump wants him to help him get elected president. He's going after Joe Biden, etc. The thing that I think would be interesting is, two things. One, Jordan has said repeatedly he will not give a dime to Ukraine. Now, my suspicion is they would have to eventually compromise because the Senate Republicans do want to fund Ukraine, but they would try to make Democrats give up something. So they'd make Democrats give up something, not Republicans, to fund Ukraine. The second issue is that, what was I going to say here in terms of Jordan? I wonder if Jordan wouldn't cinch Biden's reelection, though. People don't like, you'd have to sort of see, I'd have to have you guys Google and see Jim Jordan. You got to just Google him, Jim Jordan. Watch him talk, grab a YouTube video. People do not like this man. He's smarmy. I think smarmy is probably the best word I could. He's, like somebody dripping in oil, right? They're just, you're like, he's not the kind of person you want to put before the American people as the leader representing, Republicans in Congress. I think he's slimy and smarmy. I think he's going to get Biden. He's going to certainly help get Biden elected because people are going to see him and they're going to hear him talk and say, he talks. Okay, I can talk quickly. Jim Jordan talks like he's, drunk 100 Coca-Colas. He's sitting there before Congress. Okay, but are you thinking Joe Biden? Joe Biden and Hunter Biden did this, and you're literally going, oh, I mean, I'm getting like nervous even mimicking him. You're going, oh my God, slow down, like slow the F down. This guy smarmy as hell. We shall see, but it's bad. It's very bad for Ukraine. Yeah, it's very bad for Ukraine if this guy gets picked. But I'm, again, not convinced it'll be good for the Republicans. Now, they come back on Tuesday. Wednesday, they have a vote. This is the current plan. They have a vote amongst the Republicans, and then it's got to go to the House floor, and they don't even know when that vote is. So, we'll have to see. Isn't he the one who protected the child molesting coach? Yes. Jim Jordan was the coach at Ohio State University, a wrestling coach. And while he was there in the 1990s, the team doctor, a man, was molesting the college boys working on the college wrestlers. He would shower with them. He'd go in the shower for 2 hours, and so he could see all the boys showering. And he would then he was the doc. They would come to him, and I mean, ample witnesses at this point. It's a huge scandal at Ohio State University. The boys would come to the coach. This is in college. Come to the coach with, a wrist sprain, like they hurt their wrist. The coach would say, get naked. I have to give you a full exam. And then he would examine them down there. Every time, no matter what they came to him for, and they all the boys gave testimony and said, no matter what we came to him for, he'd make you get naked and he would examine you down there. I can't tell you what he did on YouTube. I might get away with it. On TikTok, I can't tell you what he did to these boys. You need to Google it. I can't even euphemistically tell you. Bottom line is, he took advantage of the fact that these kids were, frankly, I started college at age 17. So these kids could have been as young as 17. He took advantage of the fact that he was the doctor. They were the boys on the team, and he was examining them. A, they trusted him, and B, they didn't know what was going on. So he's examining them and using his hands on everything. And basically, the boys are getting excited, some of them, and are getting embarrassed because, right? And he's going, no, this is normal. And let me just say, he kept going and going and going. And the boys told nobody because, of course, they were mortified that they got turned on until finally the boys started telling the coach. The boys started telling the coach. Who was the coach? Jim Jordan. This guy in Congress who they're talking about, thank you, Dora, who they're talking about making the speaker. The boys, multiple boys have come forward and said they told Jordan, and Jordan laughed it off. He said, that's the doc. Things like this. That's the doc. That's the kind of stuff he does. Just stay away from him. I mean, 2 hours. The doctor would jump in the shower for 2 hours and shower with the boys, the group showers. These are group showers, like not individual stalls. And they did nothing about it. I mean, I'm sorry, but Jim Jordan knew, and he did nothing about it to protect the doctor. And again, because he's a Republican, and I've told you guys this before, Democrats suck at messaging. If a Democrat had done this, it would never happen again. It would never happen again. Never happen again. The source for Russia's war crimes, I don't even know what that means, Matthias. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. This is one of those instances where I'm going to give the rude internet example and say, Google it. The policy, Google the UN, and the UN will tell you. A lot of UN investigators have already come up and said that clearly this has been a systematic policy. On torture alone, the UN, I quoted that. Since you bring it up, let me give you the UN quote on torture. from the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture said in September 2023, that would be last month, that Russia's use of torture in Ukraine, quote, is not random aberrant behavior, but orchestrated as part of state policy to intimidate, instill fear, or punish, to extract information and confessions. So on that alone, on the use of torture, the United Nations has decided that it is Russian state policy. You can Google the rest, but I don't mean to get upset about it, but literally, this is something that's not even vaguely debatable as far as Russia's policy on attacking civilians. Can I publish your lives on YouTube? No. I do not want somebody else publishing my lives. No, because my lives are already on YouTube for starters. Because I broadcast on TikTok and YouTube and other places, and the YouTube ones automatically are YouTube posts them automatically. So you'll actually find them there. TikToker, I've not heard of them, no, or their report. But yes, it is a larger problem with Russian culture. There was an interesting story I read back at the beginning of the war from some of the Russia experts talking about Russian history, but also, the way Russians treat in the military in general, the way the Russian military men are treated, and basically the physical damage that's done to them, the way Russians are treated in schools, but basically this sort of not just a bullying culture, but a physically violent culture. It's really, yeah, you're leaving, Matisse. I'm sorry, but yeah, the Matisse guy is leaving. He's a troll. I'm sorry, but it's more of an accusation that Russia has a policy of committing war crimes. That Russia has a policy of attacking civilians. It's more of an accusation. No, it's called do your research and learn about Russia and talk to defense experts and read defense experts. And you will read time and again that the defense experts will tell you it is Russian military policy to kill civilians. It is what they do. It is also Russian military policy to use nuclear weapons in war at a much lower threshold than NATO policy. Again, I don't need to prove it to you. Do your research and learn about it. But seriously, no, he's being a troll. He was trying to pretend he was quasi-normal, but that was clearly a troll. Oh, so it's just an accusation. Not to mention, you could look at the war in Ukraine and look at literally every single day that the Russians have attacked civilian infrastructure, every single day, and maybe just to do it. He knows. He's whoring for Russia. My credentials. If I give you my credentials, I'm going to sound like I'm bragging. Go to LinkedIn. You've got my LinkedIn. Don't post it 5 times or they're going to ban you. Don't do it. Post your comment once, not 5 times. But go to my profile. Oh, thank you, Jetta. Go to my profile on TikTok. Click the Linktree link, and that's okay. Only because people do that sometimes. They write 5 times, and then people get annoyed. You can go to my profile on TikTok. Click the link, the Linktree link, and in that link, you will see my LinkedIn. And I've got everything on my LinkedIn, all my work experience and everything, education. But I've got a long time background in foreign policy, international affairs, government, U.S. government. I've worked at the United Nations, United States Senate, speak 5 languages, worked and lived around the world, lots of different things. But yeah, you can see there. But I've got, and have written for The Economist. I've done lots of different things. Actually, there is. Yeah, I've got a video pinned to the top of I forgot about that. I've got a video pinned to the top of my TikTok, at least on iPads and iPhones, just talking through my experience too. Thank you, Felicia. Doesn't mean I'm right about everything, but I do have a lot of experience in this, yeah. But again, I get stuff wrong too. Weekend plans. My weekend plans are to have the show tomorrow morning. Thank you, Tomcat. Oh yeah, remember guys, tomorrow morning, we're going to do, as I said, the coffee talk for paid TikTok subscribers and paid YouTube subscribers. Just some nut on TikTok. I didn't even know, did I even say that? I'm not some nut on TikTok. Oh yeah, I could be a nut on TikTok, but I'm not just some nut on TikTok. Thank you, Tarad. No, actually, but I will say this. It's not a bad question to ask what he asked, because I get worried sometimes that people will say, well, I saw this guy on TikTok or I saw this YouTube. And I'm always kind of like, okay, who? You know what I mean? Like, no, you could have regular people without the credentials who are actually giving you the correct news. It's possible. But when they come up with something that we've never heard of, and people ask me, go, I have not heard this before. Unless it's somebody credible, I'd be very worried about hearing something that no one's heard of, And even me, there's usually not stuff I'm going to give you that's something no one's ever heard of. Usually not, because it's not like first of all, if I hear something that I can't tell, I'm not going to tell it anyway, right? I'm not going to break news about the war, but yeah, you do always want to be careful of who you're getting your information from. I always say too, and I've been doing internet stuff since 1995, really. What's good too is looking at people's records. That's the other thing too. I think you could have people on YouTube or TikTok who are not experts per se, but if they've been right the whole time, like you've been watching them and they really don't get stuff wrong. In other words, they're faithfully reporting the news to you, then I would trust them because it's somebody who's being good. They may not be an expert, but they're reading the news, they're synthesizing it, summarizing it, and giving it to you in a good way. So anyway, so there you go. Anyway, oh hey Vlad's is it SVV? SVV? What else we got, guys? What else we got? More interviews? Yeah, we could do more interviews. It's a little hard during the week because I can't sort of put them on both platforms. Thank you, Super Hornet. So I could do like the interviews on TikTok, but on YouTube, it's kind of a mess. I mean, I can't do both. It's very hard. And TikTok, actually, that's a whole other story. TikTok interviews are very difficult. Anybody who doesn't know TikTok, it's very hard to interview them on TikTok. That's one thing I've always told TikTok before. They've got to figure out how to do it, how to make it easier for people who maybe are new to TikTok to do an interview with you, because it's just very difficult. YouTube is easier, yes, much easier. Update on ATACMS? Nope, nothing yet from Biden on whether we're sending them. Nothing. Ukraine running out of artillery. I mean, there have been a lot of stories lately that, Ukraine. I mean, there are concerns about how long Ukraine's weapons will go. There's some stories about how long Russia's weapons will go too. But that's an ongoing concern. It always is. But this is also why I think we don't hold back. The Germans shouldn't be holding back on the Taurus cruise missiles. The Americans are holding back on ATACMS. I mean, at the same time that all of us are going, our countries, the polls are getting worse, right? The public is getting less satisfied. Politicians, people think Ukraine's going too slow. We don't know if Ukraine's got enough weapons, but let's not give them more weapons. Let's not give them the weapons they need, because that would be bad. Russia would get mad. Well, as I always say, do we want to win this war or not? But if you ask the German government, the American government, I don't think they want Ukraine to win this war. I don't think they do. They want a tie. It's very annoying. Crimea, they can't attack Crimea until they basically cut the occupation in half and then cut off Crimea. I think what they want to do, is this counteroffensive is intended to, come down here, either to Melitopol or here to Berdyansk, but basically this is occupied. So all of this is occupied Ukraine, right? Ukrainians want to come down, cut the Russian occupation in half. And then once they do that, so basically it stops the Russians from supplying these two provinces, Crimea and Kherson, because you cut it here. And then once you cut it here, you bomb the hell out of the bridge, the Kerch bridge that's down here. Now you've isolated Crimea and isolated Kherson. And then you cut off weapons, you cut off food and water to the troops, you cut off ammunition, you cut off everything to the troops. And then you really start attacking these areas. And they start getting weaker and weaker, but they can't do that until they're able to basically go down and cut the occupation in half. And they need some of the American weapons like the ATACMS, and the Americans won't give them the weapons. So it's very, like I said, it gets me very upset, especially because we're literally playing this game of, it's taking too long, but let's not give them the weapons they need. Well, okay, then what's the point? Thank you, Pam. No, this is, this is very, it's very scary what's going on. Actually, Kelly makes a good point too. The Ukrainians have been hitting Crimea very heavily for the last several months. Remember, they've been taking out the different radar systems there. They did 2 amphibious assaults. They hit the military headquarters, the Navy headquarters. They've been hitting the boats and the ships and the submarines. So yeah, they've been going after a lot of stuff in Crimea anyway. But I think they wouldn't do a main assault until they first took out the bridge and hit the sea with the counteroffensive. So they really isolated first. Very, very annoying. So Anyway, maybe another couple questions, guys, and then we'll call it quits. If we cut off aid to Ukraine, will other countries step up to cover the gap? I read something today that worried me. It was the former British ambassador to the U.S. And what he said is the concern he's got is he said 90% of the weapons going to Ukraine are coming from America. That's what he said. So he said there is no way Europe can fill that gap if America cuts off its weapons and cuts off helping Ukraine. Thank you, Chezek. That worries me. That worries me. Well, body cream, I don't like my tax dollars going to you either, but they do. I'm going to guess you're from a red state. And if they are, that's kind of how it works. You don't always like where your tax dollars go, but you don't get to pick everything. Sometimes government officials pick for you, and that's life. Could hit the bridge. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. It's Putin's birthday this weekend. No, that's true. They could hit the bridge this weekend for Putin's birthday. That's certainly possible. That's certainly possible. I hear you, Sash. Don't worry. Sasha's whining at the door again. Yeah, exactly. Elon takes more tax dollars, honest to God, and he's less less pro-American than the Ukrainians are. What else, guys? Anything else? Otherwise, I'll do a quick summary, and maybe we can call it quits for tonight, guys. Let me do a quick summary, and then we'll go from there. How many soldiers each side has left? No. I mean, in part because it depends how many more they can get. I mean, Russia's got more men because they're a bigger country, but how many more men can Russia get? How many more men can Ukraine get? Who knows? And how many they have left? I mean, the thing is, especially if you think of on Ukraine, no one's going to talk publicly about that. I mean, that's information Russia would want. So no one's going to publicly talk about, how many men does Ukraine have left? How many more can they get? Because it's only going to help Russia to say it. So I don't know that we'd ever know publicly. So I see. So you're saying it's already Putin's birthday because tomorrow's Putin's birthday. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Jetta Mom. So it's October 7th. Alexa, what day is Putin's birthday? Alexa, what day is Vladimir Putin's birthday? That is tomorrow. Sasha! God. Oh, well. The neighbor lets her dog come to my door, and it gets Sasha upset. So that's probably what's happening. It's very annoying. There's nothing I can do about it. Sasha! Jeez. But it's, what do you do? Anyway, all right, guys, let me do a quick summary of the news, and then we'll get rolling here, okay? It is day 589 of Putin's 3-day special military operation. Tomorrow we're having our coffee talk, remember? Alexa said tomorrow. We have our coffee talk tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S. for the paid monthly subscribers on TikTok, YouTube, Ko-fi, Discord, and Twitch. It will be on TikTok for the TikTok subscribers. It will be on Discord for everybody else. I'll actually set up the event on Discord when I finish this, so it's there. 4 people remain missing, including 2 children following the Russian strike that killed as many as 55 people in the village of Hroza. The Russians attacked a cafe. Russia attacked 2 residential buildings in Kharkiv last night, killing a 10-year-old boy and his 68-year-old grandmother. Russia also launched a massive drone attack overnight, hitting port infrastructure along the Danube River right across from Romania. North Korea has begun transferring artillery to Russia, according to CBS News. Sweden will send a new military aid package worth $200 million to Ukraine, but they said they will only send their Gripen fighter jets to Ukraine once they are admitted as a member of NATO. Reuters says diplomats in the UN are suffering, Asian and African diplomats are suffering fatigue over the war in Ukraine. They're getting tired of it. So they may just let Russia join the United Nations Human Rights Council while they're committing, this is the joke the United Nations is, while Russia's committing genocide in Ukraine, they're going to let Russia join the United Nations Human Rights Council because the Asian and the African diplomats are getting fatigued over having to care about the war. Financial Times reports that Moldova's president claims that Russia's Vagner group tried to do a coup to overthrow the government. Oop, Dark Irish had a question here or a comment. Okay, well, Dark Irish says maybe if Putin gets the word that Ukraine is calling the Crimea bridge the Pavel Prigozhin bridge, Putin will take it out himself. Yeah, exactly. That actually would be kind of funny. That actually would be kind of funny to say, just for them to say it, because also you're poking fun at the fact that he did kill Prigozhin and he keeps trying to deny it. That I'm with you on that. That would be funny. Yes. So Prigozhin was part of a coup attempt to overthrow the government of Moldova. A new $200 million U.S. aid package will be announced next week for Ukraine, and the Netherlands has announced a new $100 million aid package for Ukraine. All right. Happy Friday night, everybody. Like I said, tomorrow we've got our coffee talk. Remember, the paid monthly subscribers. Anybody who wants to become one, feel free on TikTok before I sign off to become a monthly subscriber on YouTube, Ko-fi, Discord, Twitch, lots of different ways. And you can join us tomorrow morning for our monthly get together. Otherwise, good night, Ireland. Thank you, mods. Thank you guys for all your gifts and the time. And otherwise, I'll be back Monday, of course. But if you can, come by. If you're a paid subscriber or want to become one, come by tomorrow morning. Like I said, on TikTok or Discord. And as I said, I will go to Discord right now and set up the event so we don't lose it. But all right, see you, Vlad. Yeah, Jakub, you're very welcome, Vlad. All right, guys, I'll see you all tomorrow. All right, well, won't see you all tomorrow. See some of you tomorrow, and I'll see the rest of you on Monday. All right, Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, US. All right, see you guys.